Good day. This Global Intelligence Brief analyzes four critical developments from the past 72 hours that reveal unprecedented global instability. The Israel-Iran nuclear confrontation has escalated to day 3 with direct attacks on nuclear facilities. A coordinated assassination campaign against Minnesota Democratic lawmakers exposes American democratic fragility. Meanwhile, Trump's military parade and the ongoing Air India investigation complete a picture of systemic crisis. In this episode, we cut through propaganda to reveal what mainstream coverage omits: systematic threat inflation surrounding Iran's nuclear program, strategic implications of targeted political violence, and cascading risks threatening global stability. This briefing is for leaders who understand these aren't isolated incidents but symptoms of deeper structural transformations reshaping international order. Israel-Iran nuclear crisis. The Israel-Iran confrontation represents the most dangerous nuclear security escalation since 1981. However, official narratives contain significant distortions requiring immediate correction. Netanyahu's claim that Iran was on the verge of nuclear weapons continues a decades-long threat inflation pattern. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi confirmed Iran produced uranium enriched to 60% U-235 at Natanz, significant but well short of 90%, plus weapons-grade material. Netanyahu has made identical claims since the 1990s. BBC Verify analysis confirms extensive damage to Iran's above-ground nuclear infrastructure. Natanz's pilot fuel enrichment plant producing 60% enrichment is destroyed. Critically, underground cascade holes remain intact. The advanced Fordo facility shows no damage despite Iranian reports. This damage pattern reveals Israeli calculations: degrade enrichment capacity while avoiding massive radiological contamination from underground facility attacks. Royal United Services Institute analysis suggests GBU-28 bunker buster munitions, indicating sophisticated targeting for maximum political impact with controlled escalation. Israeli deaths, 13, including children in Bat Yam and Tamra residential strikes. Iran reports 78 killed, 320 plus wounded. Targeting civilian infrastructure, including oil refineries, raises international humanitarian law questions. Strike timing is revealing. Attacks occurred days before scheduled U.S.-Iran nuclear talks in Oman, now cancelled. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi calls negotiations unjustifiable under attack, ending the most promising diplomatic opening in years. This suggests disrupting diplomacy, not preventing imminent threats, was the primary objective. Oil prices rose 7% as markets price Strait of Hormuz closure risks. 20% of global oil transit passes through this waterway, making Iran's closure threat economic warfare with immediate global consequences. American Democratic crisis. The Minnesota Democratic lawmakers' assassination represents systematic elimination attempts, not random violence. This coordinated campaign threatens democratic governance foundations. Vance Luther Bolter, 57, former political appointee and security contractor with Middle East Africa experience. Professional background suggests capabilities beyond typical domestic extremists. Fake police vehicle with authentic equipment demonstrates sophisticated preparation. Vehicle target list included Governor Tim Walz, Representative Ilhan Omar, Senator Tina Smith, and Attorney General Keith Ellison. Minnesota officials confirm focus on abortion rights advocates. This systematic targeting transforms killings from isolated incidents into broader conspiracy evidence against democratic governance. Military-style planning evident. 2 a.m. attack on Senator Hoffman and wife in Champlin. 3:35 a.m. police encounter Bolter dressed as officer emerging from Hortman residence where he killed Representative Melissa Hortman and husband Mark. Manifesto contained No Kings anti-authoritarian materials. Attack occurred during nationwide No King's Day protests countering Trump's military parade, suggesting coordination between suspect actions and broader political movements opposing perceived authoritarian displays. Successful coordinated attacks against multiple high-profile figures reveal threat assessment and protective intelligence failures. Despite heightened tensions, targeted lawmakers lacked adequate security. FBI's $50,000 reward and ongoing manhunt demonstrate federal national security recognition, but planning and execution without prior detection suggests serious domestic terrorism prevention gaps. Impact extends beyond tragic deaths to fundamental democratic participation questions amid escalating violence. Cancelled No Kings protests demonstrate how targeted violence suppresses legitimate political expression. Psychological impact on officials potentially listed creates ongoing security concerns, fundamentally altering democratic representation nature. Systemic analysis. Crisis convergence within 72 hours reflects deeper structural tensions demanding strategic analysis. Simultaneous military, economic, technological, and political domain stress reveals global system approaching critical instability. Israel-Iran conflict impacts on global energy markets directly affect US-China trade calculations. American domestic political violence undermines US international crisis management credibility. Trump's military parade occurring with Minnesota assassinations creates stark juxtaposition between state power displays and democratic norm breakdown. All events demonstrate information warfare's central contemporary conflict role. Systematic disinformation surrounding Israeli-Iran nuclear claims, potential aviation disaster conspiracy theories, and deliberate political violence false narratives reveal global information, environment, truth decay. Current international institutions prove inadequate for 21st century challenges. Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty cannot prevent nuclear facility attacks. Trade governance fails addressing great power competition. Democratic protection frameworks lack systematic political assassination prevention authority. Institutional inadequacy creates governance gaps. Malicious actors exploit. Air India crash highlights broader challenges governing increasingly complex technological systems exceeding human comprehension and control. Modern aircraft sophistication means failure modes may be unpredictable using traditional safety approaches. Complexity extends to US-China cyber competition, potential Middle Eastern autonomous weapons, and social media political violence amplification. Economic interdependence, weaponization through China's rare earth restrictions and American technology export controls reveals integration becoming vulnerability rather than stability source. Economic nationalism and strategic autonomy trends suggest fundamental global economy restructuring along political rather than economic lines. Israeli-Iranian nuclear facility attacks fundamentally challenge global non-proliferation regime. Military action against nuclear facilities normalization creates precedents encouraging similar state actions. US-Iran nuclear diplomacy breakdown eliminates multilateral arms control processes, increasing Iranian nuclear non-proliferation treaty withdrawal likelihood. Strategic implications. Analysis reveals three potential international system trajectories with profound global stability implications. Managed competition requires sophisticated institutional innovations functioning during strategic rivalry while maintaining global challenge cooperation. US-China-London trade framework attempts this approach, but structural conflict forces remain unresolved. Systemic fragmentation involves global governance mechanism breakdown and competing regional bloc emergence. While potentially short-term stable, fragmentation would make climate change and technological governance addressing extremely difficult. Crisis-driven transformation could force rapid institutional change through major crisis events. While potentially long-term positive, transition periods involve significant instability and human costs. Decision-makers must prioritize truth and verification infrastructure as shared factual foundation degradation threatens all policy objectives. Integrated crisis management capabilities essential as interconnected contemporary crises require simultaneous multi-domain responses. International cooperation mechanisms must strengthen despite great power competition, as global challenges make cooperation more essential than ever. Tonight's analyzed events suggest international system movement toward transformation scenarios. Specific outcomes depend on coming months' policy choices. Trajectory shaping windows narrow, making immediate action essential. Stakes couldn't be higher. Response choices will determine whether international systems evolve toward greater stability and cooperation or fragment into perpetual conflict competing blocs. This 72-hour period represents broader global order reshaping trend microcosms. Nuclear escalation, economic warfare, technological failure, and political violence simultaneous occurrence reflects contemporary challenge systemic nature. For decision makers, key insight. Traditional crisis management approaches assuming isolated problem addressing are inadequate. Contemporary challenge interconnected nature requires new analysis forms, institutional capabilities, and international cooperation approaches. This concludes your Global Intelligence Brief. We'll continue monitoring developing situations with updated analysis as events warrant. Stay informed, vigilant, and remember, in information warfare ages, critical thinking is your most important defense.